I'm chatting in conversation with Durgesh Shah of Corporate Database. We're coming to you from Flame University in the outskirts of Pune. Durgesh bhai, when you do speculation or satta hamesha apna slip book se hota hai, check book se nahi hota hai. What does that mean?
There are many rules which other people are not able to understand. Very simply, they say that satte ka nafa hajam karna charas aur ganje se zyada mushkil hai.
Harder than opium, yeah.
So the fact is, most people can't understand why is it difficult, but it is a matter of an intoxication. The person starts believing that he is much sharper than the markets, and that is all that the markets wait. Gives you the gain and then gives you real pain.
Takes it away.
Takes it away with a vengeance.
So the opinion that you can throw your checkbook and get a speculative position to be bullish is at foolhardy at best.
Because that's what most investors do. You set out and try to place $1 assuming that this will be worth much more than what you're paying over time. But in speculation, it's exactly the opposite. The more you're going to put in is more going to be at risk.
Nobody is that rich.
And
not even a Rockefeller.
Nobody can afford to do that. There is no way. In fact, the richer you are, the more difficult it is going to be right on speculation.
One of the greats, which you mentioned, R.K. Damani, once told me that if you want to create an enemy in life, teach his son how to speculate. Or tell his son how to speculate.
They say Socrates was a Jew and he said that all Jews are liars. So Radhakishan Damani does it extremely well and then tells you not to say. But I think
he realized he had a rare quality.
He realizes that it was extremely difficult. He realizes there were points in time where he could have gone seriously wrong and history would have been different. And so he's humble enough to tell you that this is not easy, don't try it.
You know, let's talk about money. You mentioned money, and money is what the last read is somewhat about. The great ones use money to keep score?
Very clearly. As a matter of fact, you will see that most investors, value investors in particular, they are so innate in their nature of frugality that forget being a spendthrift. They will never be able to do things that sometimes when they do it, they feel they are a victim of their own image. And they have to do it just because the rest of society is doing it.
So the better house, the better car is actually against the grain.
It doesn't matter to them at all. I don't think they bother about it. Jim Rogers used to say that, I told my wife that why buy a sofa set? We buy a stock and then we'll buy something bigger. These guys will think that instead of buying a house, why not rent out something, and that's cheaper. So
never buy depreciating assets, keep your focus on appreciating assets.
Very clearly they would think about that even when they are buying antiques or paintings.
But when you have this kind of money that the market affords you, you've been through 3-4 bull markets, what do you do with that money? I mean, if it's just a measure of keeping score, what is the second step with that money?
See, sooner or later, in the Indian philosophy also, we consider that donations is an English word. In Hindi we call it samvibhag. It's a part of your moral obligation to give back.
Philanthropy.
Philanthropy. Now, as I said earlier, it will come naturally to you that instead of spending it on yourself, you want a higher return on investment, and you feel that philanthropy gives you a higher return on investment. It will come very naturally to you to go and give it to people who are more deserving, underprivileged, and that will come very naturally to any value investor.
In fact, that success and that money creates a humbleness or a gratitude inside you.
Like we talked about nature, the more they acquire, the more they bow down.
The more the fruits in the tree, the more it bows down.
Exactly. They realize very clearly that many a times they were right for different reasons, not for their smartness. The more they realize this, the more they are feeling humbled by the fact that the world is acknowledging their skill while they were lucky at times. These are the guys who realize that Narayan Murthy was the horse who drew the cart and they were dogs walking beneath it, and they just made the right call of which cart to follow.
Which cart to follow, and that's the wisdom that they brought into.
That's the thing that makes a difference. There are a huge flood of people on Dalal Street who think, being the dog following the cart or walking under the cart, think they are the one that carried the burden of the cart.
I think Galbraith was ambassador to India during the Kennedy administration, said it best that everyone thinks he's a genius in a bull market. We know better now.
Very clearly, most people overrate their skill and underplay their luck.
Markets, mayhem, money will continue our fascinating discussion with Durgesh Shah of Corporate Database on part 2 of the Wizards of Dalal.